Okay, guys, welcome everyone. So much to talk about as usual. I figure I'm going to start with something from this week's Torah portion. Endless what to talk about. Let's try to talk about something that's very relevant to all of us. Even though it seems not relevant, everything is relevant. So let's try to do this. Especially this week's Torah portion, we have the battle between Jacob, Yaakov, and an angel. Very strange. I mean, first of all, how do you battle an angel? You train at WFC wrestling. I mean, how do you fight an angel? It's not obviously not literal. He's wrestling with him physically. That's not what it means. Who is this angel? And what does it mean that Yaakov is fighting with the angel? And then it comes out that Jacob wins this battle against this angel. And then the angel, Jacob says, well, I want you to bless me. And he says he's going to give him the name that God will give him later on in the Torah portion, which is Yisrael. The Jewish people had two names. Jacob was first called Jacob, Yaakov, and then it became Yisrael. The word Yisrael has a lot of meanings. Israel has a lot of meanings. The word Israel is from the word Yashar, straight. Yashar, Yisro, Yashar. And the name afterwards, at the end of that, Yisrael is the name of God, straight to God. The term Yisrael also, as the angel says to Jacob, means that Sarita, you have struggled with the angel and with people, and you've succeeded. So there's an aspect of struggling that is Jacob's victory. We need to understand that because, ladies and gentlemen, struggling in life is part of the issue. Don't make the mistake that, if I'm doing the right thing, it's got to be easy street. It's not supposed to be. We're in this world to do something important, and therefore there are struggles. And when you struggle, you're actually fixing things up in the struggle. Like imagine a person who's trying to push a rock. He's pushing the rock. He doesn't realize he's building his muscles as he's dealing with these problems, and that the struggle is part of that. Now, let's understand the struggle. Let's understand who he's struggling against. And then the angel cannot beat Jacob, but it says he hit him in the area called the Gidanasha, certain area of a joint that connects the lower part of the body, the hip. And that's why Jews have a commandment we can't eat. There's a certain nerve that goes through a cow, through an animal, and that a nerve that goes through has to be removed. It actually is the most expensive part of the animal. It's the filet mignon has that nerve, and there's a special process to take it out. So if a Jew wants to eat filet mignon, it's a lot more expensive because he has to have an expert to pull it out. That's the area, the joint between that transitions between and the hip. Now let's understand this. Who is this angel? First, what does it mean he's fighting an angel? It does not mean he's physically wrestling. You can't wrestle an angel. That's not what it means. The battle is between this angel that is considered the guardian angel of Esav. And in a certain sense, it represents the angel that was against human beings. When God created the world, it says he consulted with the angels, so to speak, and the angel said, don't create man. Because angels, and again, I hesitate to use the word in English because it has misconnotations. The word in Hebrew for an angel is called a malach. The word malach is from the word milacha, an action. An angel is not a little helper. God doesn't need little helpers. That's not what it is. What is like this? It's very deep. Try to understand this. When I say I take my pen and I let go and I drop it, how did it fall? Well, that's called gravity. What is this gravity? Well, it's a force that God made in the world that the world follows those rules of gravity. There are rules that God made that the world functions according to. There are spiritual rules too. Those are the concept of angels, of malachim. There's certain things that they happen from a spiritual perspective, and they are on a mission to bring this thing out in the world. So there is an angel, a force that is meant to conceal truth from us. That's its job. Now, this is very, very important because there are religions that know this concept and have taken the concept and made it idolatrous. Let me explain why. This force cannot have any of its own power. It cannot be in a battle with God. You can't battle God. There is one power, one control of the whole world. God is not in a battle with this force. It's called Satan in Hebrew. The word Satan, very much like the English word Satan, the word Satan is from the word Satan, means to attack, to counter, to provoke. What is this force? Is this force in a battle with God? That can't be. That, from our perspective, will be idolatrous because God controls everything. So the idea is like this. Imagine there is a king, and the king has a beloved son. He trains the son to act properly. And then what happens is, now when the son becomes of age, he wants to test the son if the son is going and acting accordingly. So he says to the son, listen, here's a money pouch, and I want you to go out in the world and act like a righteous royalty, like a prince like you are. Here's your royal clothes, and here's the money pouch. Go out in the kingdom and act accordingly. Then the king hires a harlot, and he pays the harlot in order to entice the son. Now, the harlot, when she's doing her job, the whole time is hoping the son will say no, because she's employed by the king to test the son. That is this force in the world. This force cannot do anything that it is not programmed to do. Its program is to conceal truth from us, that we can struggle with it and we can see through the lies and see the truth in the world. That is the struggle of this spiritual force, this angel, which is the angel called Esau, who represented lies and illusions in the world. And it was the force that was meant to conceal truth, and it battles with Jacob. Now, it's not battling physically. That's ridiculous. Yeah. What it means is that the spiritual force is looking to find, is there anything lacking in this person? Jacob became this righteous person. He went through tremendous struggles in his life with his brother Esau, and with Lavan, who were tricksters and liars. And Jacob has to be a man of truth, and yet he's stuck between this world of illusion and lie, and he's got to navigate and not get destroyed and not fall into their view of the world. So he becomes this righteous person, and now is the pivotal point. And now there's a battle. And the angel, so to speak, is testing him. Is he whole? Is there any shortcoming in his whole body? Does his mind think of the right things? Does his heart feel the right things? Does his arms do the right actions? And the angel can't find any flaw in Jacob and Yaakov, except for one place, maybe. Where's that? That's the place where the body, the upper body, connects to the lower body. Now, why is that a soft spot? It says in this, the sage is right, that when the angel was battling him, he thought that Jacob was an angel too, because he found no flaws in him. But then he found a joint. You know what in the body, a joint means is a place your hips can become dislocated, right? They can become disconnected from the entire body. Angels don't have joints. What does that mean? Angels are God, do the mission that God sent them, just like gravity works according to the laws that God set up. And so what happened here is that the angel said, wait a minute, he's a human being because there's a place where there's a joint that could be dislodged between the upper body and the lower body. Let's understand what that means. I have a mind and I can know what's true. And I have a heart, and I could feel what's true. But sometimes what you know in your head, you don't feel in your heart. And sometimes you know it in your head, and you even feel it in your heart, but your lower part of your body just does what it does. Your actions do what you do. You know you shouldn't do this, you feel you shouldn't do that, and still sometimes we do it. How is that? Because there are three parts to the body. There's the mind, as we said many times, it's called the moach in Hebrew. There's the heart, called the lev. And there's the lower part of the body, which is run by, the sages teach us, the liver is the organ that somehow spiritually is connected to the lower part of the body. When I take the mind, in the Hebrew, the word is moach, and then the heart, lev, and then the lower body, the liver. It's the first letters of mind, heart, and liver in Hebrew spell the word melech, which means a king. When a person thinks their thoughts, and then they feel the feeling, and then they bring it out in action, then they're like a king. When the person lets the lower part, the part that's procreation, the part that is the physical actions of the world, when the person lets that dictate, and you go from the back up, it spells in Hebrew the word kalem, which means a disgrace. Because if a person goes and their physical yearnings for what they want are dictating what they should feel and what they should think, then they become a disgrace. Now let's talk about this lower part of our body where our legs and our lower body is connected to. So on one hand, we say, you know what, it's really good to think, to feel, and then to bring it out to action. But think about it a second. When a baby is born, so what happens is it can't move its feet. It doesn't know how to walk. The hands, it's playing with stuff. The feet is a process. And when the baby first learns how to walk, it's not easy. Now, when you get older, isn't it a good thing you don't need to think how to walk? Right? God forbid if somebody has a stroke or something, they have to learn how to walk. It's the most terrible, painful thing. The Hebrew word for legs is called regel. Regel is the word, which also means the word for habit. Some habits are great when your mind and your heart, and then you bring it out, it becomes a habit. Those are good habits. You could have good habits, right? Parts of good habits. You know this is the right thing to do. You're feeling it now, you do it. Every day you get up, you do the right thing, and that becomes habit. Those habits are good to have. You know, a person doesn't want to be 50 years old and thinking how to walk. But the habits, when they're dictating what you think and what you feel, then we're in trouble. So it's not only the desires in the lower part of the body, but it's even the things that we just do, the habits. The habit has to be coming from the higher part. Animals walk like this, right? Their heart and their mind's in the same place. They're all in the same area. The reason why human beings walk erect is because we have a mind where it starts from. Mind to the heart and then to the habits. What happened was the angel said Jacob is a hole. There's a place where a human being can know something, can feel it, and not bring it out into their actions in life. And that's the place he hit him. That's the joint. That's the connection that we need. We need to go and to make sure that our bodies are whole, and what we bring out in the world is in concert with what we're about. Now let's go a little bit deeper for a second. Because I ask you, who is the king of the human being? Is it the mind or is it the heart? So, and I said it was the mind, but people are like, wait a minute, I'm not sure that's exactly correct. Maybe the heart is the king. And in one way, it's true. The reason why the heart is called in the center, at least in the center of the body until the legs, which are considered to be the outside, the part that's bringing you, the legs bring you to your next area. The reproductive organs bring the next generation. The heart's in the middle of your torso, middle of your body. You know why? Because the middle sometimes is where everything comes out from. I'll show you an amazing thing. The word for a king in Hebrew, melech, is exactly the three middle letters of the Hebrew alphabet. You know why? Because from the middle, everything comes out. So in one way, the heart's the king. One way, the mind's the king, he's on top. Let's understand this. If you want something that badly in your heart, you know what your heart does? It fools your mind into believing things you shouldn't believe. That's the way it works. Think about it. Think about it. Just, today is Sunday, so in America it's big football day. If you're not a fan of any team, but you decide I'm rooting for that team, all of a sudden you have to feel everything for the team. Because when you want something, you start to turn your mind to what you want. That's why in Jewish law, it's so crucial. The issue of bribery is such a forbidden issue that the Talmud says that there was cases where the guy came and said hello to the rabbi. Hey, he came to greet him. I can't judge your case anymore. Because you were exceptionally nice to me. I like you now. I'm biased because my heart feels something and it could twist the mind. So one place the heart is the leader because it has the root of what a person wants. And therefore, we need to go and think, what is it that I really want? Because if we don't think that, then what happens is we end up misleading ourselves. We got to think what I really want. Now, if you realize that what you want is not right, there's a solution. Then the mind can work on the heart. But let me explain how this is done, because this is somewhat, people sometimes work very, very hard trying to want things that they know they should want, but they don't want. So let me give you the deeper secret. This is a very amazing secret I'm going to tell you now. So if somebody wants something that's bad, then it's really bad. You need to get rid of it. But a lot of times, the thing that you want is not in its root absolutely bad. It's just that's the way that we want it. We don't think about what does it represent. Let me give you an example. If I was to take all the songs in contemporary music, and I would say, what do you think is the word that's most said in songs in contemporary music? So it could be the word love. And it could be the word maybe home. We're going home, homeward bound. There's so many songs about going home. And if I ask most people say, you know what? I have a picture of this. I want a house. I want the estate. Most people in their minds, when they picture something they really want, they want a beautiful home. And now that could be a very, very physical thing. But if you think about it more deeply, you realize the desire for people to have a home is because there's a deep desire of every person to return to their root. That's called returning to God. That's why everyone wants to go home. So yeah, I want to go home. I like my family. I like that. But it's a deep component to the person. So the person feels they want something and they don't. It's not good. You got to take the mind and realize that if the heart wants something that's not very good for you, you need to redirect yourself. And then the mind's got to take the wanting of the heart and not just say, you don't want it, because you probably do want it. But it has to find the deeper thing that will be good, that will be in line with what you want. So if you want to, for example, I don't know, if your main goal is to make a lot of money, so then you got to ask yourself, okay, why do I want that so much? You know, and then you might start to think, oh, I really want it so that I won't be afraid, I'll be secure, I'll be able to do things. And then you could realize the root of it is that you want to be able to do good things in the world. That might be your root, you don't even realize it. So the way a person's built, it goes, there's the heart that it wants, which has to be lined up, because in one way that's the king. And the mind, which is connected to the higher parts of our soul, that is, in one way, also the king. And that's sometimes have to direct the heart to make sure it's feeling the right thing. And then we have to bring it out into action. And that was where Jacob, the angel, saw human beings aren't perfect. You know, Jacob was as close as you can get. But in the descendants in the future, in things that are going to happen now, in human beings is a place where even when I know it's right, even when I feel it, is that what I'm doing? And therefore, there's two processes that we could change. One process is to redirect what we want with the mind. And there's another process, very, very great thing. This is amazing. I said to you before that the angel hits Jacob in the joint of his lower body because he realizes sometimes the habits are disconnected from the upper person. So there's another way to actually change. And this is amazing. If you start doing actions that are good, it'll affect the way you feel and the way you think about things. I think I mentioned to you once, there was a study they did in a university where they went to mental hospitals, and the students were feigning depression. And they were studying on depression. So they walk in, you're looking down, I'm very depressed. I feel awful. And then they got admitted. But after 3 weeks, they had to stop the study. You know why? Because everyone got depressed. If you act depressed for 3 weeks, you're going to be depressed. So I'm here in Atlanta. I don't know. The sun has not shone here in like 10 days. It's like everyone I'm talking to, I'm counseling people, I'm talking to people. I was like, I don't know. I just feel so lackadaisical. I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying it's all the weather, but I'm sure that what's happening is that it's subconsciously playing into your world, and now you're not doing things. So get up and go exercise. Get up and jump around. Do the things on the outside that will affect your internal mechanism. That was the battle of Jacob and the angel. The angel's job is to conceal the truth. He's got a lot of ways to conceal the truth. He can make you think it's the wrong thing. He can make you feel the wrong thing. And he can also make you that when you know it and you feel it, you end up not doing it. That was the point he hit Jacob on. But Jacob's victory was because it says he always struggled. It's an amazing thing. It's a verse in Proverbs. It says, a tzaddik, a righteous person, falls 7 times and gets up. And an evil person falls once. What? Is he all right? How come he keeps falling? Because, I made a mistake. But am I going to let it keep me down, or am I going to get up? And I'm going to say, I can become something. I can be something. I can do. I can bring out the great thoughts and feelings into action. And therefore, the righteous person gets up. He struggles, and the angel says to him, "You, Jacob, with your struggle, with all your challenges in life, when you realize that you could struggle and you're going to win, and sometimes you might make a mistake, sometimes you might fall, but you're going to get up and you're going to keep struggling. When you realize that, this person is whole." And that's why he becomes Yisrael. He can one that could struggle with the angels, struggle with people, and he will succeed because he understands that that is the gift God gave us. And it's the challenge that he brought this angel into the world, not to beat us, but to give us the success that we will earn when we beat that intimidation and that concealing of the truth. Okay, let's open up to thoughts, ideas, and concepts.